I've got my speakers turned on still, but I don't need to see all the blank screens. And I noticed that when I was making the Zoom videos that they showed up kind of blocking the side of the screen because they were trying to put everybody's face in there. So I'm hoping that by turning that part of the screen off, that won't be a problem. And then I'm going to turn chat back on. So there was a question right here at the beginning from Alex. It says, regarding the last assignment, the inches, the fractions of an inch, scale of the screen, size of the fonts, it was all confusing. I'd like to find an easier way to work. So yeah, that's a wonderful place to begin a conversation about this file. And what we have here is this is the file that you should create. And if you can, the easy thing to do is going to be follow along with me on your own screen. So go ahead and open that file and have it open. And then you can work from that screen. And we'll talk for a moment about the units, and then we'll talk about how to save these files and keep them going in the right direction. We had one person who was having trouble getting to save correctly. I'm sure there are other problems out there. I'm expecting you guys to have problems. I'm trying to make this a setup where you're having to think a lot of things out for yourself. And in doing so, you're going to discover how to learn the software, but you're also going to learn that there are questions that you have. So I'm totally expecting you to have questions. So this little title block file has 3 layers in it, and the video goes through that. And I want to make sure the layers are named correctly. G-TTBL-line and G-TTBL-text. The lines are color blue, the text is green. The layer naming format, as you learned about in those layer videos, is very crucial. So it's always 4 letters. And there was a little error in the video. It said L-I-N-E-S, and it shouldn't have that S on there. So anyway, that's the place to start. And so you can see I've got that shape here on my screen. Now, when you open up AutoCAD, it's going to open up on a machine that was installed with Windows in the United States. Now, if it's a Mac, if it's an iOS with Macintosh software, it's going to be a little different, but still, there's somewhere in the root of that software, somewhere way back in the installation of that software, those things know that they were installed in a machine in the United States. And because of that, they know that the basic unit in the United States is an inch. And so what it does is it establishes inches on the screen as your basic unit. So what does that mean for us? I know that when I hand drafted this and I gave you that video, I showed you, offsets based on fractions of an inch. But you may not have seen yet how to change the units in the software. So when we say half of an inch, then compared to the number 1, that's 0.5 inches. And when we say 3/4 of an inch, that's 0.75 inches. Okay, so when we're looking at that, and I'm gonna have to pop that screen up for just a second with the video. I'm gonna have to see that, because what I want to do is I want to make sure everybody kind of understands what it is I'm talking about. Down at the bottom of your screen, you have that little thumbs up symbol. Can you just give me a quick thumbs up if you understand what I mean by when I'm going from decimals there? It should be clear to you guys, but I just want to make sure I'm not leaving anybody out. Looks like most of you are getting it. Is anybody having trouble understanding me or hearing me? Type that in on the chat. Okay, so when I'm entering units on here, all right, I started off with that main rectangle, and then I wanted to come in half an inch. So what I did is I said offset O, enter, and then I typed in 0.5. Okay, you could also type in 1/2. It does exactly the same thing. AutoCAD will automatically read the fraction as a decimal. So you can do it either way, but you have to understand that all the units on the screen are based on the idea of an inch. Okay, now having said that, and that's always true, There are certain software packages and certain ways to override those settings in different places. You'll know when you work different places, you'll see that they've done different things. A lot of engineers will work in feet, and they'll just tell AutoCAD that 1 equals a foot instead of 1 equals an inch. And so you'll get those files mailed to you, and you'll have them built into your own work, and then it'll say, it'll come in, and the file will be 1/12 the size that it needs to be, because there's 12 inches in every foot, and they're taking that inch and they're saying, well, it's not really an inch, it's a foot, and they're working like pretending that it's a foot, and then you get the file, and it's actually an inch, so it's been reduced by 12 times. And so that happens a lot when you're working with surveys, particularly. That's a big deal. Okay, no problem. We just got started. So the file here is all built in inches. So when you're doing those offsets, it's easy enough to just type in the fraction or type in the decimal equivalent, and that should work. Alex, does that help you get kind of sorted out in terms of what your question was?
Yes, it does. But when you enter the coordinates either in a fraction or in 3-8 or
Yes.
3/8, you're talking about XY0. You're not talking about the box you already have at 3 inches up the bottom.
Okay. Right. So you have to remember that a lot of the operations I'm doing when I build this, especially in the video, the way that it's being built, I'm not actually typing in coordinates, I'm typing in offsets. So for example, the very first shape, this large rectangle, that was a coordinate. I started a rectangle, REC, enter, I gave it a point, and I gave it a next point, it's somewhere else, and I typed those in. But then everything after that was offset. So based on an original shape, then I said O, enter, 0.5, enter, and I offset for that shape. And so I didn't type coordinates for that interior shape at all. I just offset it. So hopefully that sort of changes the way you see it and helps you understand what's going on. One thing that you guys all need to be aware of, and this could come back and bite you in a minute if you didn't quite get it right, the very first shape is the white one. And the white one is at the origin. It needs to be right at the origin. And it needs to be an overall distance of 11 by 8.5. And you have to make sure that after you do that, if you're going to do the offset, O, enter, 0.5, enter, that you go towards the inside of that shape, not the outside of that shape. So notice what happened. I went to the outside. This shape is now 1 inch too big in both X and Y. Okay, so if you've drawn it too large, you'll need to fix that. Okay. In terms of saving these files, any other questions about creating the file? You guys can speak up or you can type it in. Does anybody else have any questions about creating the shape?
I had a question, David.
Yes.
It was actually pertaining to the text.
Uh-huh.
So creating the shape, I actually it wasn't too difficult. I found a lot of workarounds to get it the shape, but it was the text that was just such a stinker. For some reason, I could not get my text to go middle center, nor could I get it to gauge. And I think it was just me forgetting the steps, the proper steps. I got the text at 0.2, and I remember you said in one of the videos, it's pretty small. So I tried to adjust it, and then it went huge. I was like, oh man, I don't think I'm doing it right. And then I couldn't get it to be exactly middle center. When I clicked middle center, it would move it like to the corner. It was strange.
Okay. So let's start with this piece of text here, because this is sort of the most complicated one. I think it'll hit the most issues. Okay, so I'm going to delete mine, and then we'll redraw it. And the way to get that piece in there, I'm going to start off with the command text enter, and looking at the command prompt down at the bottom of the screen, it says specify the middle point of the text, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know what middle point they're talking about, but I'm going to use the justify command first. I'm going to say J, enter, and I have all these different kinds of justifications. Okay, the one I'm interested in is called middle center. So I'm going to type MC, enter. Now what it's asking me for is the middle point of the text. And what I have to do is find a point right here where my mouse is, right? I got to be able to click that point. And there's nothing there to select. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift and go right click. That brings up this fancy pants OSNAP menu. And I can say mid between 2 points. And I'm going to click first on this corner and then over here on this corner. And the middle between those 2 points will be right in the middle of my screen. It's right there. Or right in the middle of that area. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So then I'm looking at the prompt again, and it says specify the height. Okay, well this piece of text is supposed to be ½ an inch tall. So I'm going to type 0.5, enter. And then it says specify the rotation, and I say, well, 0 is good. So I type 0, enter. And now I'm ready to type the text, x-xx. I'm going to hit enter twice. Single line text, when you hit enter the first time, it creates a new single line text. And then you hit enter again, and it cancels the command. Okay? Does that part make sense?
Yeah, actually, that was I literally missed the second step of
Okay.
justify.
Yeah.
That was what caused it all.
It's really all about reading that command line. It really comes down to that. That's why in that very, very first video, I say this is the command line. Because so many times all I have to do is say, did you read the command line? And then, it's right in front of you, but you forget about it. And so, we can catch you on that now. Now, this text is pretty wide. It sort of pokes out over the edge. And so what I did here is I modified that with the properties. To get to properties, I can type prop, and it will bring up my properties window. Okay. Now I have a real aversion to playing games with these windows. I don't like it when they like auto hide. They like slide shut like a shutter, like this one's doing. Really annoying. So what I'm going to do is right click on the bar right here on the words layer property manager, and I'm going to say turn off auto hide. Okay. That's going to leave me with these two windows. And I usually put properties on one side of my board, and I put layers on the other side. I don't need the layers right now, so I'm going to turn those off. Now, with the properties turned on, invisible over here, and I got to them with prop, I typed prop. You can also do Control-1. That will turn them on and off as well. I can select that text, and I can change the width factor to 0.75, enter. And that will now fit in there. So the width factor is just a property of the text. It's over here under the text heading, and I can change it right there and make it narrow. Okay. Are there any other questions about getting this thing to be drawn? I'm assuming I did not look at them in depth. I'll talk to you in just a second about how I grade these first little pieces. I didn't look at these in depth yet. I just checked to see that they were turned in. So I haven't really studied anyone's work yet. It's too much work to open them up for such a simple drawing. So we'll just finish the assignment and then turn it in afterwards.
I had a question about the offset.
Did you have another question, Erin?
Yes, about the offset.
Uh-huh.
So on the bottom, whenever it was the 3/8 offset, and it was you were doing 2 of those.
Yes.
When I would press enter and I was following along with your YouTube video, I would press enter and it would delete the line.
Okay. It may have been because enter was repeating the last command, and the last command may have been an erase or an undo.
Gotcha.
And so if you went like if I did this, if I went like, let me just come in here and do it. It'd say offset 3/8, enter, and I went like 1, 2, 3. I was like, oops, I did 1 too many. So you do Control Z, oops, and you can end up doing that. And then if you hit enter again, it will continue to undo, right? Because enter will repeat the last command. And if my last command was undo, then it will, that could have been what was happening. I don't know.
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and sometimes if the sometimes, a lot of this is just practice. So, really doing this exercise again, you probably could do it in about 2 minutes. Yeah, I'll go over the project title too. I see some people talking about that. So let me just go through that one also. So I'll delete this one and we'll redo that one also. So the project title is done with multi-line text, which is a little bit different. It's going to behave a little bit differently. And later, when we get into some of the other assignments, you'll see how it changes things when we fill that information in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type MT to start multi-line text. And it asks me to specify some corners, like a text box. So I'm going to click 2 corners just randomly. And I get this window. Now you're going to notice there's a little ribbon at the top with like a ruler. Also, the ribbon at the top of the screen is now context sensitive. It's a text editor ribbon at the top of the screen. And I'm going to type the word project title. Okay. And then to finish this one, if I keep hitting enter, I'm just going to keep getting more lines and lines and lines. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit backspace and get rid of those. But I'm just going to have to click outside of the text area. Okay. Now, this piece of text is all one item. It's not 2 separate pieces. It's all one thing. And again, with properties still open, I can select it. And then over here where it says, it's got some information, it says height, and the height is supposed to be 0.25. And then I hit enter, it changes the height, and then it says the rotation, and I can say rotation is 90. Okay, so that gets it sort of set up. But then we've got another problem here. We want to center this inside this window. And the best way to do that and keep it centered is to change the justification. Instead of top left, change it to middle center. That gives us a grip right in the middle of the letter C right there. Okay, and that grip we can use to grip edit. So I can click that grip, move my text, and click again, it'll drop it. Click the grip, move again, it'll drop it. When I get it where I want to, then I'm done. So how do I get this where I want to? I'm going to click the grip. I'm going to move it. Again, I'm going to do my cool little trick. Shift, right click, mid between, and I'm going to go mid between this point and down here on this point. And the middle between this point right here and this point right here is that point right there. And so then it ends up right in the middle. And what I want to do with this, really, I can see there's these 2 little slidey grips. I'm going to close one down just a little bit, and then I'm going to expand one down just a little bit. And what that will do is when I get ready to, if I make a long project title, like if I change that word, instead of saying project title, if I double click in there, and instead of saying project title, I'll say like assignment 1, logo. Well, that's getting too long for my little box, right? But because it's multi-line text, it automatically creates a second line. It keeps it centered because the multi-line text is centered. Okay, so I'm going to Control Z that back to project title. When I Control Y it, you'll notice it makes 2 lines, and then it's a single line. Okay, so this is sort of a perfect example of what's going on with this file. And then I see there's another comment here. If everything except the alignment about the text is right, what is the best way to fix it rather than delete and start over? Well, if it's just the alignment, then grab it and work on its properties. And you might have to move it a little bit if you didn't quite get it centered. But the easiest thing to do, like if let's just say, for example, hey, this is stuck to that line, then all I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that it's at middle center, and then I'm going to grab that grip, and I'm going to go shift right click, mid between, this point here and this point down here, and then it'll find that. Okay. All right, so then we got to save this thing, and I want it to be saved in a special way. So I'm going to go and I'm going to click on File, Save, or the big A, and I'm going to click Save As. Probably that's the best way to go, is to go Save As. Okay, now down here at the bottom of the Save As window is, different file formats. And it's possible that you accidentally clicked one of these. It's also possible that when you did your save command, you said save, and then you did save as, and then you like slipped over and accidentally clicked one of these while you were starting to run the save. But you want to do save as a drawing, okay? And that's going to save it as a DWG format, which is the correct AutoCAD format. Okay, and then you want to save it with the correct name, 03 space dash space TTBL last first space dash space and then the date. That's how we want to save it. You should save that to your own, and I know the video had a different name, and really honestly, if it's on your hard drive, I'm never going to see it. Like, it can be named whatever you want on your hard drive, but it's going to be best if you name it something that you remember. And then when you load it to Dropbox, I'm going to go over here to my Dropbox files. And I want to talk again about these because I'm really making sure, and I see a lot of people just loaded these up. That's wonderful. I've got another folder over here. Oops. That's also Dropbox. I don't need two Dropbox folders. I've got another folder over here somewhere. Here it is. And what I'm doing is this is on my hard drive right here. These are the ones that were loaded up earlier. And I can see a lot of things going on here. So let me talk to you a little bit about these file managements. And let me make sure, first of all, there's no more questions about creating the title block. Are there any other questions about creating the title block? All right. You guys are all silent, so I'm going to take that as good. And what I want to do is talk about file naming here. Yeah, this one. Can I just get a thumbs up? You guys can see my folders up there on the screen? Yeah, okay, cool. Very good. So here is the Dropbox folder. And here is what I do. I take the Dropbox folder, and every day before class, I'm going to be moving files onto my hard drive. And what I've done here is on my hard drive, I've created a little place where I temporarily download everything for the class. Now inside of there, I've got folders 0, 1, 2, 3, logo. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do with these. And so for like example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all the ones that start with the letter 3 or the number 3, and I'm going to grab all of those. Oops, I gotta, for some reason, it's not letting me hold shift and get them all. That's pretty annoying. Let's see if I can sweep over. Yeah, I can sweep over them. I got 2 that I don't want, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and get these 2 that are number 2, and I'm just going to click and drag those into my number 2 folder here, just like that. And then I'm going to grab the ones for number 3, and I'm going to drop those into my number 3 folder. And some of them were duplicates, and I'm just going to say replace the files with the new files. That's all I need. Okay, and so yeah, it says I'm grading the files that were in here. I've got them. If you submitted them, I have them, right? And then there's this other one called ACAD. I don't know what that is. I'm going to delete it. Okay, and I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that for everybody. Every couple of days, I'll do that because I have to keep my Dropbox kind of empty. I don't have unlimited storage. But this allows me to grade your work. And then what I'm doing is I come in here to these folders, and I'm going to open up folder 2, and I'm going to look to make sure they're all named correctly. And I can immediately see, who's able to do this. Now, unfortunately, I can't really zoom in on this screen, so I hope that your screens are able to show this clearly. But I can see some of these are like Devo here. It's Aaron's got the wrong type of file. It says DWF. So that one really I can't even deal with. I'm going to delete it. It doesn't get graded. Okay, now that's not going to kill Aaron's grade. That's just a matter of this particular file needs to be replaced again. Some of them are named incorrectly, like these 2. They've got a dash where they shouldn't. And I know it seems picky, but I need everybody to play the same game. Otherwise, you're really not learning it properly. You really need to be careful with your naming. So these two, they had points docked for the grade. Now, they can always resubmit. That's fine. You can always resubmit a file to me, but right up to the last day of class. But it's going to be better if you get it right the first time. Down here at the bottom, Escalante, we've got some spaces missing, and you can see it's not alphabetized because the spaces are missing. So what I do is I go down and I'm gonna grade based on how these things are named. These are the simple files. These are not assignments yet. They're just kind of warm-ups. The date can be done with the 0 or without the 0. That part of it I'm not going to be picky about, but I need to see the O2 space dash space logo, last name, first initial. That's really critical. And the date can go either way. Thanks for asking, because I was going to skip over that. Here's how I'm changing these grades around. You get a full point if it's correctly named and turned in on time. You get half a point if it's incorrectly named. If you resubmit it, it's just late, but now it is correctly named. You can get 0.8. You get 80%. And then if it's late and not named correctly, you only get 20%. Okay, and I'm going to try to kind of hold to that on all these little interim steps. Okay, so it's very important that you turn it in with the right name, even if it's a little bit late. Okay, you'll still get most of the credit. Okay, so that's what I want everybody to know is how that works. Let's see, any questions about that, about getting your files turned in with the correct name? All right. Not following name conventions can make you a target for ridicule. Yes. Yeah, and if you're really nice, well, actually, I was going to say if you're really nice, you could change people's files and make them correct, do a little favor. But really, that's not doing them a favor, because really, everybody needs to learn how to do that in a very precise way, and that's part of the lesson. Okay, is to make sure that you can do it correctly. And later, as we go forward, even into this next piece of this exercise here tonight, you're going to see why that's so crucial. Okay. So in order to move forward, everybody needs to have at least a file that's named correctly, even if the ArcLayer naming standards, I don't want to open that. I can see there's something there. It's tempting, but I'm not going to open it right now. Even if the file's incomplete, it's very important that it's named correctly and that you have something there. So if you don't have anything at all, draw me at least a rectangle, even if it's not the right size, save it with the right name. 03 space dash space TTBL last first space dash space 63. And you can even turn that in right now. But keep a copy of it on your local drive, because as you saw, I'm moving things off Dropbox onto my drive. It's a submissions area. Okay. Now, what we have to do is we have to finish. Is it possible to get written assignments with the rubric with at least a day to work? I apologize very much for having such a short time span on that. Yes, generally speaking, I will have it with much more than a day to work. I got a little bit overwhelmed yesterday and had some other computer issues I was working out. So, and then that video that I made, it took me about I'm not asking for sympathy. I just want you guys to understand what's going on. It took about 2.5 hours to set up that 18-minute video, and then about another hour to process and put it online. So for 18 minutes of class time, it took about 3 hours of prep, which was most of my afternoon. Like I said, I'm not really asking for sympathy. It just was really kind of sunk home to me that this teaching method, what's happening online here is that I have to do much more prep for much less consumption. So it's very easy for you guys to consume that information. It takes a tremendous amount of time to set it up. Like the camera kept falling over and the tripping over wires and things like that. I'm not used to doing stage set production as part of my teaching class. as part of my teaching prep, but obviously that's something I'm going to have to start planning for more. Fortunately, we do have a lot of videos, so at least I can kind of feed you those. What I want to do with this particular exercise right now, I want everybody to be doing this. I want to show you how, oh, well, thank you. I want to show you how you can take one drawing, our logo file, and stuff it into another drawing. We're going to insert the logo into this file, and then we're going to be saving that and using it repeatedly for the next couple of weeks. So the very first step here is to make sure both files are open. And I've built myself a little logo here, and I've built myself a little title block. So I've got a logo and a title block, and they're named correctly. If you're not seeing both tabs, what you can do is go to your View tab and click on Layout tabs and File tabs. These are the File tabs, and I've got my File tabs visible. I think in the first video I had you guys turn that off, and I'll just turn it back on. It's in the View ribbon over here in the Interface panel. And what I want to do first is make sure I've got both of those open. So I'm going to give everybody just a second to do that. And then, and I know you guys aren't working on two screens, so that makes this yet another layer of challenge for everybody. Some of you might have two screens. If you can wrangle up another screen in the house and plug it in, I would definitely recommend it. It'll take a minute to get used to, and then it's going to change your world. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my logo into this square up here in the title block. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the logo was drawn as a 4-inch square, but this little square at the top was drawn as a 2-inch square. Okay. Now, I have a video that goes through this, and I purposely withheld it from you because AutoCAD has changed the way that they deal with this procedure. They've got a different set of interfaces and toolbars that deal with this, but the keystrokes are pretty much the same. So you do this with the insert command. There is an insert tab on the ribbon, and that's one way you can get to this. It's this button right here. The other thing you can do is, staying on the home tab, you can just type I enter. Okay, and it's going to bring up this dialog box that says blocks. This is new. This came out last year. So if you're dealing with AutoCAD older than 2019, you're not going to see the same interface. It's going to put up a window in the middle, but it's going to look very similar before we're all done. So you just have to hang on for a sec. What it took me a while to notice when I was doing this is that there are 3 tabs down the side of this. You can insert blocks that are part of the current drawing. That's what it's looking for now, is current drawing blocks, and there are none. You can insert blocks from recent drawings, which I had recently worked with a lavatory, and I don't know what this is, a brick line, and some sort of another title block of some sort. Those are recent files I've used. And then you can insert drawings from insert blocks of other drawings, okay? This is previously specified file could not be located, and it's looking for something that it can't find anymore. So, you know, Autodesk has all these ways to find things. And then, this is the old method, it would kick you over to this, and it would say, hey, find me a drawing somewhere on the file server. And so when I clicked those 3 little dots, it pulls up Windows Explorer. And this is the normal way that I would have normally come to this place. And the file that I'm looking for is the logo. So I'm going to click on that, and I can see it. It's right here. And what I have to do is like load it into my drawing. So I select it. So I click these buttons, and then I browsed over, found my logo, and then I say open. Now you'll notice that that drawing is on my list, okay, as other drawings, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it. It'll turn blue. And then these are the normal controls down here. So it's going to take this. It's going to follow these rules. And when I hit OK, it's going to do its thing. So I got a lot of questions all of a sudden. Is it possible to get written? Oh no, I'm saying doing great. When trying to open my logo, it says the file does not exist. Okay, so you have to make sure that it was saved somewhere on your local drive. If you saved it on Dropbox and then I took it, then you don't have access to it anymore. So I can, logos were taken. Can we have them back, please? Yes, that's exactly what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll make the dump. I'm going to supply them back to you. But you need to remember, like the protocol says, you need to keep files on your own hard drive. Okay? When you're working with AutoCAD files, it's never a matter of like, I'm completely done, design is over, I'll never think about it again, here you go. Never the case. You always want to keep all your work. So now that I've got your attention, I'm going to say that. So let me go ahead and go back to your logo files. And I'm going to grab all of these files and I'm going to put them back on the Dropbox for you. Okay, let me open Dropbox up. And I'm going to go like this. ARDR, and I'm going to say these are going to be review files, and I'm going to grab all the logos and I'm going to put them back in there. Okay, so now what you need to do is get your own logo and make sure that one copy, the newest, best copy, is got to be in both places. And I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to do that. I'll stop talking. Yeah, Alex is talking about move versus copy. I intentionally moved them. I'll intentionally move them back later. If you delete a file from Dropbox, it will say, you know, are you sure you want to delete this for everybody? I will always hit yes to that question, but you may not want to be so brazen. You may want to say no and just make sure you're making copies. But see, I'm relying on you to keep your work, and you're just giving me copies of your work. You're never giving me the original. Okay, give me a thumbs up when you were able to get your logo copied to your desktop. And you know what? I think I'm probably going to have to do the same thing for the other file. So the title block file is just a guess. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for title block files. So you'll notice we have that little date at the end of each file. If you ever have to send me a file that's updated, then it will not overwrite the old version, right? Because the date is a different file. If it's 6.2 and then later it's 6.1 or later it's 6.5 or whatever, then those are two separate files. It won't overwrite you with an old version. So each time you load something up to Dropbox, it's a new date. But the working file doesn't change. We'll have to spend more time with that, I'm sure. Okay, so now we should all have these two files open, and I'm going to go ahead and finish this command. So I typed I enter and I browsed to get my logo. It's now, excuse me, it's now waiting here to be worked with. And I click on it, and what I want to do is read these commands down at the bottom. I see right now the only one that's turned on says insertion point. And so that just means that it's going to follow my mouse looking for a place to go. if I uncheck insertion point, well, I gotta hit escape. If I uncheck insertion point, I'm going to be given the opportunity to enter the location with coordinates. Insertion point is going to work a lot easier for us in this case. And then I see the next flare is scale. Now remember, this one that we had before was 4 inches square, but the one we're putting in is going to be 2 inches square. So I'm going to change my scale to 0.5. 0.5 for X and 0.5 for Y. And then I'm going to select that object, and then when I slide it on my screen, it's following my mouse. If I've drawn it correctly, I'm going to have it by the lower left corner. That was the 0, 0 location on the original logo file. And I can put that right on that end point, and it will fit right there inside that little area if everything was drawn correctly. That's our first little piece to do. So when you get that done, give me a thumbs up. Good, 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 good.
Hey, David, I have a quick question.
Sure.
So for when I was trying to get the logo back, I missed the part where you put it on the blocks in the left there.
Okay, so let me do that again. I'm going to have to do a couple of little maneuvers here so that it comes up fresh. Just hang on just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Where's my purge window? Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Purge all. This zoom window is going to kill me. There we go. Purge all. Okay. All right. Well, it still didn't get rid of it, did it? Current drawing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start the insert command by typing I enter. I'm going to click on the current drawing tab, and then I'm going to click the little dots at the top. That's going to go help me browse to find my logo. And that will load it into the drawing. It doesn't show it displayed yet, but it loads it into the available drawings. I'm going to make sure insertion point is checked on, and I've changed the scale to 0.5, 0.5. Now I can click it, and it will follow my mouse. Yes, there's lots of different ways to scale it. One of the other ways you can scale it is by selecting it, and you can do that over here too. You can say 0.5, 0.5 in this location also, in the X and the Y. Okay, this file that you have on your screen, or hopefully it looks just like the one I have on my screen. This file that has the lines and the text and the logo all together, this is a file you're going to be using from now on, well, for the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So we have to make sure this file looks good. If it doesn't look great, I will catch it and I will help you get it to where it needs to be. But just like I was saying before, it's very important that you have something on the screen. So what we have here is we have a title block, which is like the frame or the format of the work, and then we have a logo inserted into that title block. The logo, the word block is a little bit confusing. You have to be careful. This is a title block because that's what we call it in the industry. It's like the title for the drawing for the page. This thing is a block entity in AutoCAD, or block reference in AutoCAD, and the logo was brought in as in one piece. It only has a single grip, and it's brought in as what we call a block reference. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to save this file. All right. You don't need to turn this file into me. This file is going to be saved on your hard drive, and it's going to be saved as a file called 10x8 ttbl. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to put it inside my folder for the class. I'll get to the XREF question in just a second. And I'm going to save it as 10x8 ttbl. Okay, and that's what we're going to call it, save. Okay, so we can see that up there at the top of the screen, 10 by 8 ttbl. If you've done this correctly and everything looks good, you'll never have to touch this file again. You're just going to use it as is every time, over and over. You're going to keep inserting it. We might find something wrong with it. It might be too big, might have the text in the wrong place. You might need to correct the logo. There's lots of things that could happen, okay? So you might have to come back here, but after a couple of go-rounds, it'll be just fine and you'll never need to open it again. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close that file, okay? I've still got my logo open. I don't need it open anymore. I'm going to close the logo. It asks me if I want to save. I'm going to say yes, okay? And I'm back to my start screen, and I'll go back over a couple of these questions. Let's see, my version does not have the 3 little dots. Ooh, which version are you using, Damien? 2021, uh-oh. Well, somewhere it's gonna have some way to pick a file. I don't know exactly what that will look like. Let's see, I'm just gonna come in here and look. So somewhere up here, it's going to have somewhere where you can go say, hey, I want to pick a file. I don't know exactly what it'll be, but there'll be somewhere that has like a browse button because it needs to allow you to go look for another file. Now, it may be that you're in the wrong tab. It's possible that you need to click on current drawing before you get that.
Yeah, Dave, I'm on current drawing and there's nothing there. Like it's not letting me click on anything.
Can you share your screen and let us take a look at it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do that.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh crap. Let's see if I can fix that. I think I can fix that. That should be good. Disable participant annotation, chat, show, hide. Oh, did I do that? Maybe I can make you a host. Maybe I can do that. Let's see. I can make you a host. Okay. You'll have to give me host powers back later.
Okay.
But I'm going to say, do you want to change? Yes, I'll say you can be the host for a minute. I'll change that for future sessions. I'll make it so that's easier. Why don't you go ahead and share your screen? And let's see. I'm going to stop sharing mine. So, oh, has started. There we go. Okay, yeah, let's see. So there's a little drop down.
Yeah, and it's not letting me click on anything right here. Now I'm on current drawing.
Yeah, I see that. And it's all grayed out.
Yeah.
So there's 3 little buttons over on the right-hand side. There's an X and then a collapse and a little star. What does that little star do?
Properties.
That's weird. What does that do? Click on that. Oh. And you've got a libraries button too, which is kind of interesting. Click on that libraries tab. That's a new one for me too.
And there's my logo.
That one has logo.
Yeah.
Try that. Can you click on that?
It doesn't do
It
anything.
doesn't let you.
Yeah. And then even if I hit enter too, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I see. Franz, you were using 2021, correct? How did you solve the problem? There it is. I see it now. I don't know why, but I see it now. Click on that. There, now you can drag that onto your screen.
Oh, okay.
There it is. I'm not sure what you did, but it did work.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So I think you have to give me, you have to surrender, you have to click on my little name in the window and say make host again or something like that. Yeah, it's super fancy. Okay. So this title block should be saved somewhere on your hard drive. I would make a folder for this class and keep all of your work for this class in one folder. At the end of the day, we'll probably have about 25 files that we're dealing with. Some of them will be tiny, and other ones will be like weeks and weeks of work. So you need to have somewhere where you're keeping these and not getting them lost. All right. Now, where did that's weird. Let's open my file back up. Oh, because I closed everything. Okay, so right now you should have a file called 10 by 8 TTBL that shows both the logo inserted into the title block. That file has been closed, and you want to open up a brand new blank file. Nothing is in this file. And we're going to make assignment 1 right now in the next few minutes. Assignment 1 is going to have 2 blocks in it. The first block is going to be the 10 by 8 TTBL. So I've got my blocks window open. I'm going to go find that file, the 10 by 8 TTBL, and I'm going to add it to my screen. And you'll notice that when I do that, it loaded the 10 by 8 TTBL, and then it also loaded the logo independently of that. So I've got 2 pieces in here. That's because when I loaded the 10 by 8 TTBL, the logo was nested inside of it. I'm going to make sure everybody's to that point for just a second. If you're already there, give me a thumbs up. Because it'll take people a few minutes or a few seconds at least to get that to happen. I wish I could see everybody's screen. I want to get to the point where I can make it do that. And I think I know how, but it might crash our class, but it would be good. Does anybody need just a second to get that to show up? They need like a thumbs down. Okay. I think that was everybody's thumb. Aaron, did you get it?
No, I'm having some difficulty with it.
What's
I'll
going
figure
on?
it out.
Well, I don't want to ditch you. This is kind of a big step, so I want to make sure everybody can get this part done.
So I'm on the new assignment. I'm at the block.
Uh-huh.
And then, oh man, did it just freeze? And then go to create. Yes.
So the way that I did that with, which version are you using?
I believe I'm using 2020.
Okay, so your screen looks very much like mine then.
Correct.
You should have these 3 little dots right here where my mouse is.
Okay.
And if you click on that, it will bring up a browse window like this. And then you should be able to select the 10 by 8 TTBL file and click open. And then it will load those into your current drawing.
It's just saying it has my logo. It doesn't say it has the 10 by 18.
Okay, so did you save a file that looked like that?
I did.
Okay, so maybe you're in the wrong folder. It's possible.
Possibly.
Yeah. So you want to browse to wherever you saved that file.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to slide forward so that we can get everybody through this tonight. And then if you need some extra help, I will definitely be hanging around and help you out with that. But I think you're close. I have a feeling you're going to catch up real quick once you get it. But I want to pull the class to the next step. So when it loaded this, I got my 10 by 8 TTBL. Now remember what was inside there. We had the lines, we had the text, and we had the logo that came in as a block. So when we brought that file in, the block inside of it came with it. This is a nested block inside of the title block file. Yes, you can do all sorts of things with these. I'm reading back from the chat window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the 10 by 8 TTBL. I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to unselect it. Why is this thing behaving so badly? Oh, I've already got it picked. I need to hit escape. I got to uncheck insertion point because I want this to come in right at the origin. Okay, it wants to come in right at the origin. I don't want the scale to be 0.5. I want the scale to be 1. So I'm going to change that to 1. I'm going to change this to 1. Okay, so what's going to happen is when I double click or when I select this object, what's going to happen is it's going to take that object, including its nested block, and it's going to put it in right at the origin at full size. So I just go click, click, and then boom, it comes in and it's done. There it is. Okay, that's all one piece. This is all one thing. Okay, now somebody asked earlier what the difference between this and an XREF is. XREFs are called external references, and they're a much more sophisticated way to do a very similar task. If you're asking that question, you've probably been exposed to them a little bit, maybe in an office, maybe some sort of professional setting. In a professional setting, your title block would normally be an XREF. And the reason for that is that then that allows the project manager to control all the data in the sidebar of the title block in one single location, and it would update automatically to all of the other locations. And so file structures get to be really important. If you think about how that works, every time you open a drawing, it goes out and looks for other drawings. It says, oh, well, you know, what's my title block like? And it says it goes over to the server and it grabs that title block and it pulls it into the current drawing. And if the title block's been updated, then the current drawing says, oh, you've got an update. It goes and grabs that information and pulls it back in. All right. That's how an X reference works. So it's externally referencing other information. It's looking outside of the current drawing constantly. The difference here is the blocks are internal to the file. So they're a little simpler to deal with, and they're a better kind of starting point for us. And since we're just at the beginning, I'm using blocks for this. If you continue with architectural drafting, you would learn, we teach all about the XREFs, and we teach about how to manage those and work in teams and all that kind of stuff. But right now, we're just doing everything with just one hard drive. So we've got a block here with a nested version of the logo in it. And what we need to do, here's where we're headed tonight. We're going to take the logo and insert it a second time at a different scale. So it's inserted once here at half size. We're going to insert it again at full size right here in the middle. So I'm going to select that logo. I'm going to say, insert it with my mouse on the screen at 1:1, and I'm just going to click and drag that onto my desktop, and I can see that it, you know, it's going to fall on there. It's going to be double the size, and I'm going to place that kind of off to the side for the moment, or up above for the moment. And what I want to do is I want to place that logo centered inside this drawing area. So I've got a title block that says what my name is, and then we're exemplifying the logo at a larger scale in the middle of this page. So I'm going to select it and do the move command. And I'm going to use that shift right click for my base point from corner to corner. And I'm going to do the shift right click again for the placement. Shift right click again to go from corner to corner so that it's centered on my page. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody a minute to do that. Give me a thumbs up when you've got that done. Your logo might be huge because the scale is wrong, perhaps. Maybe you typed the wrong scale down here. If it's enormous, you can always select it, and you can go over here to the properties and change it 1, 1, in case it went to like 11 maybe, or something like that. Yeah, no apologies necessary. I'll do it again. First time's never the charm, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the logo. I want to set the insertion point to follow my mouse, and I want to make sure the scale is correct. And then I click and drag that onto my desktop. Now recall that when I drag it onto my desk, its grip is going to be down in the corner. So I can't automatically come to this point on my screen. So what I need to do is move it. I'm going to select it, enter, and I'm going to pick the insertion point at the middle of this area. And the way I did that was use shift right click mid between the two corners here and here. And then my next point is right on the center of this workspace. So I'm going to do it again. Shift right click, mid between 2 points, 1 and 2. And then it goes right to the middle. Danny's good. Anybody else? I wasn't watching the thumbs up, so give them to me again if you're finished. Star got it. Excellent. Robert? Mackenzie? Shiloh? Damien? Aaron got it. Good job, Aaron. Yay. I knew you'd catch up. Jamie, Laura, Gina, how we doing? Eli got it. Amadeus. And let's see what else we got. Yay. Okay. I think there's a couple of you that are sort of still struggling through it, but I know you'll get it. And if you don't, we will catch you up. I want to go through the last 2 steps of this assignment, and then I'm going to prep you for the next assignment that's going to be due on Monday. Okay, here is how this one's going to wrap up. First of all, we have some data that we need to fill in on our title block. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and minimize my blocks window. I don't need to look at it right now, so I'm going to close it. I need to change some information in here, and then we need to print. Okay, so we got two steps left. One of them is pretty easy, and the other one is a little bit more involved. So let's start with the easy one. I need to edit this block. Okay, now a moment ago somebody was talking about XREFs, and I said if this was an XREF and you wanted to have control over like a set of drawings, it's not uncommon for a set of architectural drawings to be, 50, 60, 700, 800 pages. I mean, it could be a huge set of drawings. We have at the school, we have a set of drawings for the Isleta Casino, and it's 4 sets of about 200 each. It's about 800 pages of drawings. And nobody in their right mind would ever want to go into every single one of those pages and change the date on every page. It would be a freaking nightmare. By the time you started, by the time you finished, it would be a different day on the calendar. And so they would use an XREF and have a single title block file and then reference it into all of their other files. We're just having this one little baby file. And so what we're going to do is we're going to edit the block. And it's going to let us understand a little bit about blocks. So this file that we brought in, it's a block reference. It's called a 10 by 8 TTBL, and we're going to select it. And then I'm going to go up here to where on the blocks panel of the home ribbon, and there's a button there that says editor, block editor. And I'm going to click that. And I want to select the one that's called 10 by 8 TTBL, and I click OK. And where we are, we're in sort of a different place now. We're not, and you notice the background color changed. The background color is the block editor background color. And you'll notice we've also got a context sensitive ribbon. So this tells us we're in a different place. And what I want to do is edit these 4 pieces of text right here. So first I'm going to double click the word project title, and I'm going to sweep over those letters and I'm going to change it. It's going to say assignment number 1 space logo. And I misspelled the word assignment, so because I'm a terrible speller, I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to pick the right word on the list. Assignment number 1 logo. Now when I get the right name in there, I'm going to click out in space. I'm going to click away from my text and it will leave it behind, and that text has been changed. It only changed it for this file, meaning this version or this instance of the TTBL file. It didn't change the original file. It changed the block that was inserted. The project is I'm going to zoom in here at the bottom, and I'm going to say, instead of project number, I'm going to double click that, and I'm going to say project 001. And then I'm going to change it to today's date. Double click on that, and I'm going to change it 06/03/2020. And then down at the bottom where it says x-xxx, this is just a little baby file, but we're going to get in the habit of naming these sheets anyway. So I'm going to double click this, and I'm going to change that number. Instead of x-xxx, I'm going to call it G-001 for general, first general sheet. It also matches our project number. Okay. So go ahead and make it, if you can't quite get to this place, make note of this at least, so that you can have the notes and you don't have to ask me, what's the project number? And I think I'm recording this, but I'm not really positive actually. I hope I am. Yeah, I am. Okay. Once you have those things correct, you have to pay attention. We're going to close something, but you have to pay attention to what we close. There's a green check. Autodesk products, Revit, AutoCAD, several of the others have adopted this green check mark to end like a subroutine. And we're in the subroutine of the block editor. So look for that green check mark. That's what you want to click. If you accidentally click this one, it will close your file and it probably will not save your work. If you click the one at the top corner up here, that's going to close AutoCAD. And it might save your work, but it's going to take several minutes to get back to where you were, and you might forget what you were trying to do. So you have to remember you're going to click the block editor. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Close the block editor. It asks me if I want to save those changes to the instance on this file. I say yes. And so now this is still one object. This whole thing is just one object, but now it's got that text has been updated. I'm going to do my best to get this thing posted as soon as I can. It takes about 30 minutes to process and turn it into an MP4, and then about another 20 minutes to put it online, and then I have to approve it through YouTube. So it takes about an hour, but I'll do it as quickly as I can. So so now that we have this file, it's all done. We're like done. We've accomplished something. And what I have to do is save this file. Okay. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. And I'm going to ask you to do this, even if you're not happy with it. Like, even if you're looking at it and saying, oh my God, there's so many problems, save the file anyway. Okay. And this file is going to be, this is 04. dash. And this is going to be assignment 1. And then name and first initial, and then the date. Space 6-3. Okay, and that way it'll line up nice and neat, and it'll make it easy for me to grade and all that kind of stuff. And these are files. This file I will be opening. I want to take a look at it. It's going to come in both as an AutoCAD file, and we're going to make a PDF of it. We're going to do both. So go ahead and save that file. That's what you're going to turn into me when you get it all wrapped up this evening. And I think what I'll do is I'll give you until Friday. Today's Wednesday. I'll give you until Thursday evening to get this wrapped up and turned in. So I'll put a deadline on this of Thursday evening. And if you're done early, great, you know. But if it takes you a little time, you have to watch a video, then at least you can get it right. So that's part of it. That's the first step. Now the next step is we have to make a print. Okay, and I don't care where you are with anything else. You could be like have nothing at all on your screen. You still need to make this print file because I only really want to go through this one time, and it's going to take a few minutes to get it right. And then once it's done, then you're done with it. You won't have to do it again. So let me just make sure everybody's with me. Give me a thumbs up and let me see you're with me, that you're ready to do the print file. Gina, Brandon, Laura, Franz, are you guys good? You ready to go? Brandon's good. Laura, Gina, Franz, you guys good?
I am unclear as to whether or not I'm editing the block original file or the reference.
You are not editing the original file, just
Okay.
this one instance.
All right, I'll go with that.
Yeah. Did it give you that option in 2021?
It did. It said I could edit it in place, and I didn't know whether that was
Oh.
editing the reference file or editing the file.
Okay, my guess is if it says edit in place, it's what it's doing is it is skipping that little separate window of the block editor.
Okay, so then I went into the block editor and I
Yeah.
edited it again.
That's probably a better bet.
I'll do it that way then.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sure. Okay, I'm going to move on now into this discussion about plotting. AutoCAD has for a long time wrestled with how to make plots work. And I think it's sort of deep inside the fabric of the software that there are some conflicts in terms of how it perceives the information and how it makes plots. They've gotten better and better and better and better, but it's taken over 20 years, probably close to 30 years to get it to where it is now. And every time they release a new version, and now they do a new version almost every year. For a while it was every 3 years, and then before that it was like release 2, release 6. But I think year 2021 is going to be like release 20 or something like that. They've had a lot of different versions, but the basic process that we're going to be using is we're going to tell the printer to look at the colors on our screen, and it's going to take those colors and convert them into line thicknesses. That's the process that we use. So color equals line weight. And I believe that was in the layers video, that layers have a color and colors have a weight or a thickness. I'm reading one of the comments there. Unable to unlock block to edit. I'll go back through that editing the block here in just a moment, but I'm already started on this next discussion. So let me continue with that. So what we need to do is we need to tell your computer how to translate those blue, green, white, and whatever other color lines into a line thickness. So this is how it works. Type the word plot, P-L-O-T. It will bring up the plot model dialog box. And we're going to go through here and learn some of these settings. And then we're going to, more importantly, we're going to create a pen style or a plot style table. So what we need to do first of all is come here where it says printer plotter. And we're going to look at this drop down. Now, everybody's got a different computer. Everybody's got a different printer, maybe nearby. Maybe you don't have a printer at all. That doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to change this. And I'm tempted to go straight to Bluebeam, but I haven't played with it yet, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say Adobe PDF. And you may not have that. You may have to, we may have to do a different one. Let's see. There should be like an AutoCAD PDF. There we go. Let's do AutoCAD PDF. And I'm going to do the one that's a high quality AutoCAD PDF. I'll have to send out a little survey online and have you guys do like a screen capture so I can see if everybody has this Bluebeam or this Adobe. And then I need to play around. I've not really played around much with Bluebeam, but we are going to be using it for this class. So eventually we'll get into that. But for right now, choose AutoCAD PDF, high quality, and that should be built into your software. Like it shouldn't be any question if it's there or not. If you don't have that one, find another one that's a PDF and use that. But let's try and use that, assuming we all have it. And then what we need to do is come down to where it says paper size. And I'm going to change this. There's tons of paper sizes that AutoCAD recognizes. And I'm going to scroll around until I find the one I want. It should be 11 by 8.5, which is, man, it's all the way down at the bottom of the list. It's ANSI A, where it's 11 by 8.5. So for mine, it's at the very, very bottom of the list. So find that one that's ANSI A, 11 by 8.5. Click that. It will think for just a minute, and then you'll see here in the preview window that it's 11 inches wide and 8.5 inches tall. Okay, then underneath there it says what to plot, and I don't want to plot the display. I want to plot a window. Okay, when I click the word window, it's going to take me over to the drawing, and I'm going to have to use my O-snaps. Now recall that the corner of the drawing here and the corner of the drawing here, those were my original sizes, and that went 8.5 by 11, right? So I'm going to select a window that surrounds that outer rectangle that was the first rectangle we drew. And when I do that, it's going to take me back to this screen. If I'm not sure I got it, like I think, oh, maybe I clicked in the wrong place, I can click the word window again, and it will show me where I selected, and I can pick it a second time. And it'll bring me back to the plot window. I'm going slow because I'm hoping people have a chance to keep up with this. Okay, so then there's two checkboxes we have to pay attention to. The first one says center the plot, and we definitely do like that. That's good. Do that. And the second one says plot scale, and it's fit to paper. We went through a rather excruciating process to make sure that this drawing fit on 11 by 8.5 inch area. Our paper size is also 11 by 8.5. So we do not want it to fit to paper. We want it to be scaled 1:1. So click the 1:1. That will show that part of the drawing is going to be cut off. I'm perfectly fine with that. We can't print right up on the edge of the paper, okay? So it's going to show us that part of it is going to be trimmed, and that's all right. Once we've done that, click Preview, and you're going to see, Well, that looks terrible, but we're going to see that, and I'm kind of wondering what happened there. It looks like it actually trimmed off more than I expected, and that could be because of that ANSI paper size. I was looking for letter paper size. We're going to see our drawing there. I'm going to hit escape a single time, and I'm going to see if I can find out exactly what the problem was with that. I'm seeing it in my preview here too, that it didn't quite work. Windows, center the plot, fit to papers, unchecked 1-to-1, ANSI A. I think it's the ANSI setting. Let me see if I can find a paper size here that says letter. And I don't. That sucks. ANSI A expand. Let's try that. Preview that and see what we get. That's what we want. So I'm going to change my paper size to a, yours cut off the opposite sides. And it may be that your drawing is a little messy. And so that's why I'm having you send me both files so I can check that. But if you click ANSI A expand, it should work. And I'm going to click center the plot, and I'm going to click scale 1-to-1. And that should take it. And when you preview that, we should see this. Okay, now this would be fine if we wanted our drawing to look like candy apple. But it's, you know, these colors are, there's really no excuse for these colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to now tell the computer how to interpret those colors. So I'm going to hit escape once, and I'm going to come back to my plot window. And here where I've got plot style table, I need to create a plot style table. So I'm going to click where it's click on this drop down, and I'm going to say new. And I'm going to start from scratch. And I'm going to say next. And the file name, we have to give this a file name. So what we're going to call this is ARDR 1121. I'm going to use all caps. ARDR 1121 plot style. So you got to give it a name. And then I click next. Now, you'll get a little window here with a button that says Plot Style Table Editor. And what I'm going to do is when I click on that button, it's going to open up a plot style table. Okay, I prefer to look at this in table view. So I'm going to click on the table view tab, and I'm going to show you what all's in here. Basically, there's a column for every color that AutoCAD can deal with. Okay. So if I scroll across this all the way to the end, you'll see it goes all the way to color 255. And then if I scroll back it all the way this way, it goes all the way to color 1. So what happens here is there are 255 colors that AutoCAD can control, and then it has a color 0 that works in a very special way. The reason there's that many numbers is because of the way 256-bit processing works on a computer motherboard, right? And most processors now are much more powerful than that. But back in the day, 256 was the absolute limit. And then they had the 486s or whatever, and then 512s, and then you got gigabytes and all this stuff. Now, but back when AutoCAD was written, that was all there was. And what we do is we're assigning colors a value with a pin weight. Now, what's kind of interesting, and I'm going to give you a little history because I kind of like it. I think it's fun. Back in the day, there were these pin sets, these graphics, and I don't know if you guys can see my screen, but there were these Rapidiograph pin sets, and I keep one in like its cherry mint condition and never use it because I just think they're fun and I like them. I've got some others that I use, but that's like collector's edition right there. But you'll notice those pins have little colors on their rings, and then on the top of the pin there's a number that matches with that color. And AutoCAD took these colors, and architects took those pins and said, hey, you know what? My red pin is a really fine line, so I'm going to make it have a line weight, and I'm going to say the line weight is the where is it? The line weight is going to be set to 0 for red. And so red pen, fine line, 0 with line weight. And then the color 2 pen is going to be the next one up. I'm going to bump it up to a 0.1. Let's do a 0.1. No, we're going to have to, yeah, that's 0.5. And then we're going to go to green, and we're going to say, hey, you know what? Green is going to be 0.18. And then color 4 is going to be 0.3. And then color 5 is going to be 0.6. And so each of these line weights then is assigned to a color. And then color 6, I'm gonna say color 6 is also going to be 0.5, but we're going to take 0.6, and instead of using the screen color of pink, we're going to change it to a gray. I'm going to say select color. Actually, I'm going to do, let's see, do we have a, yeah, grayscale. Where is it? Screening. I'm going to say it's going to be black, but it's going to be screened at 50%. So it'll be like a gray line. All of these colors are going to be black. And so they're going to use black ink on the printer, but they're going to use different line weights based on their color. So I went on red, yellow, I went with color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all black, 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 black. And then the numbers here at the bottom, 0, 0.5, 0.18, 0.3, 0.6, 0.5. And I put a 50% screen on color 6. So I'm going to take a little quick screenshot of that. I will email that out this evening so that you guys can have that little piece of information separate than everything else. Like that. There's a good chance that those will need to be modified at some point. I did not write them down in advance. Shame on me. But if we know where to go to fix them, then that's not such a problem. I'm going to save as to my desktop as capture 1. And yes. And then I will email that out with an email after class so that you have it. So again, black, 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 and then 0, 0.5, 0.18, 0.3, 0.6, 0.5. And then I'm going to save and close that dialog box. And I say finish. It's now assigned. So when I preview this, my logo shows up. Remember, it was pink on the screen, so now it shows up as gray. The line weights, if I zoom in, I can see they have nice thick lines. And that's how we get the values that we want on our screen. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit escape one time. It takes me back to my plot window. And I'm going to click OK. Now, it's going to do all this work for me when I click OK. It's going to make a PDF. It's going to follow these rules. It's going to put it on this size paper at that scale. It's going to center it on the paper. And I click OK, and it does all of those things. It's going to, because it's a PDF, it's going to ask me, where do I want to save this document? Okay, and I'm going to save this document in the same location. So I have on my desktop a folder for this summer, and I've got AutoCAD files in there, and I'm going to save it in that file. It is going to name it just like it names the host file or the main file. And it says printing from model space. I'm going to leave that alone, and I just click save. Okay, and it will create that file. Some of you, the PDF will pop up, oh, there it goes, will pop up automatically. You're going to see it, and there we go. There's my PDF. One of the things that's nice about doing PDFs with AutoCAD, please don't give me the error. Yep, did. One of the things that's nice about doing PDFs on AutoCAD is it will actually keep the layers listed as part of the PDF file. And check this out. You can actually turn layers on and off from the PDF file. So that's kind of a fun little trick, just to show you what's going on. So those two files now are the ones that I want you to email me by tomorrow night. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording just to keep the length of this video from getting any longer.